We're locked in here!
Syl, the alien form from Species movie series explained in detail. When it comes to alien flicks, the dominant characters are mostly depicted as extremely mysterious and terrifying beings at the same time, but there happen to be films where the directors have attempted to alter that perception. Thanks to these filmmakers for introducing us to an appealing variety of aliens. Well, to begin with, these aliens are super hot, but don't go by their looks, they're also tremendously fatal. Speaking of deadly, who wouldn't remember Syl from Roger Donaldson's 1995 science fiction horror film? Who could have ever thought that a genetically engineered hybrid of an alien and human DNA would end up looking like this? In this video, we're going to talk about Syl, the alien form from the Species movie franchise in detail. Before we go into our list, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click from you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's begin.
Combined DNA sequence was injected into 100 human ova.
Origin. Earth's primary contact with this specific species took place in the year 1994, when the Search for Extraterrestrial Life program received communications from an alien source. While the first message directed them on creating interminable amounts of fuel with ease, the second message contained information about an alien DNA along with instructions on how to combine it with a human DNA. The scientists went ahead, assuming it to be a friendly contact. 3 living beings were created. 2 of them were put in liquid nitrogen into a frozen stasis, while the third, which happened to be a female, was allowed to be raised, thinking that it would have on display more passive and manageable qualities. She grew under the name Syl, and was eventually succeeded by a few more generations of the species. Appearances and skills. The alien forms are mostly bipedal, except for Patrick Ross, the male version of the species. Patrick has 2 kinds of alien forms, mating and combat form. His alien form for the former need is bipedal, while his combat form is quadrupedal, bigger in size and also more ruthless in appearance. Both the genders have chitinous, cadaverous bodies that are translucent. The mouth has 2 jawbones, featuring hair-like tentacles. These species are also capable of shape-shifting between their human and alien forms given the situation. Speaking of their DNA structure, it is very adaptable. It is continuously developing and changing. This, in turn, gives them unique regeneration skills that make them immortal to some extent. They can only be annihilated if every last piece of their body is destroyed. The female gender of the species indisputably happens to be the deadliest. Throughout the movie franchise, we tend to see quite a few generations of the female species, each differing from the other in terms of appearance and aptitude. First generation, Syl. Syl unquestionably happens to be the most prominent hybrid. Not many know this, but Syl was named after her ovum ID number S1L. Merged with top-class quality human DNA, the alien genetic material incited rapid growth, triggering Syl to literally become a perceptible fetus in a day and then hit puberty in less than 3 months. While showing immense speed and momentum, Syl also struggled with dreadful dreams that were generated by her alien DNA. Eventually, the scientists regard her as a threat and try killing her with cyanide gas, but she manages to escape. While Syl is on the run, she pupates, forming a cocoon, and in just a few hours emerges as an entirely naked, fully developed, and strikingly beautiful woman. Meet Natasha Henstridge, making her debut as the sensuous hybrid. Initially a tad shy but observant, Syl very quickly acclimates to her new surroundings. She has the phenomenal capability to integrate information just by touching. Her physical strength, recovering skills, and intellect make it all the more difficult in pursuing her, even though the government assembles an eclectic team to track her and terminate her. Eventually, her alien instinct to find a desirable male and have intercourse with takes over, and Syl becomes a hypersexual predator. While her human form is purely camouflage, her alien form looks chitinous and reptilian, but also humanoid at the same time. The piercing spines on her back can withdraw and outspread at her own will. Sil has 2 sets of teeth, with the internal set being as sharp as a razor. Her infamous tongue happens to be the highlight of all her features. It is topped with sharp spines, which also acts as her primary defense mechanism. Whenever she feels endangered, she just needs to perform the kiss of death. To those wondering what that is, Sil has the ability to impale her attacker with just her tongue. And that is exactly what led Henstridge to win the MTV Movie Award for Best Kiss in 1996. While Sil is quite capable of conceiving children like most human females do, she is shown to give birth by means of her chest cavity, which ruptures to let a fully grown infant emerge from there. With the ability to recover from any injury, say a broken scapula or a missing thumb, all is well for this form of species unless her body is ruined beyond dimensions for regeneration. For example, her cause of death happens to be being shot point blank and thrown into the fire.
That's in Reservoir Hill.
Supermarket. There's a supermarket, a big supermarket.
In a supermarket. He's going into the supermarket near Gwynns Falls in Warwick.
Hang on to your shorts.
Second generation Eve. Using one of the frozen organisms that Sil was created from, this species was recreated and called Eve. She was an identical clone of the original and was mostly designed to be an improvement. Her name Eve essentially stood for Extraterrestrial Vulnerability Experiment. She was made gentler than Sil, less violent and slightly more submissive, and that's what made her more human. But because her mating instincts are extremely dominant, she is administered a special combination of medicine to keep her urges suppressed and kept in complete isolation. Her familiarity with the outside world comes from television, paper articles, journals, and she has barely any comprehension of the world she's kept from interacting with. The fact that she is a ditto replica of Sil makes her look alike in her human form, but Eve's alien form has slight modifications. The prehensile tentacles on her head are not pulled back. Instead, they hang down like normal hair and are longer too. Her alien form also looks taller than Sil's. Eve has a rosier tinge to her body as compared to Sil's tanned physique and has shorter blonde hair. She has an extraordinarily acute extrasensory perception ability, which makes her capable of telepathically communicating with other members of her species. Her bosom, like Sil's, also has tentacles, but they're only used during her mating sacrament. Eve, contrasting to Sil, does not kill humans and also happens to be the only one in the film franchise who is not seen emerging from a cocoon.
Don't you know that?
Third generation Sarah. Sarah happens to be the purest specimen of the whole generation of species, being the daughter of Eve and Patrick Ross. The latter was the astronaut son of the senator who was contaminated by an alien organism during his mission to Mars in the second installment in the movie series. Sarah's alien form has a more scaly and tubular appearance and does not have the tentacles on her bosom as Sil and Eve did. Instead, she has 4 extremely piercing hair tentacles, which she mainly uses to attack. She also possesses nail tentacles, something that both her mother and Sil did not have. Her eyes emit a blue glow as a substitute for those reptilian pupils. Sarah happens to be the only one out of the 4 protagonists of the Species franchise to have been given birth to and not someone who is artificially formed. It's due to her being a natural hybrid that Sarah's humanity and the commanding alien instinct are balanced.
Oh, you mean mattress?
Fourth generation Miranda Hollander. Miranda is a human-alien hybrid created by Tom Hollander, who raised her as his niece. She was smarter than any human, having the same phenomenal capability to integrate information just by touching like Syl. But she also had a natural lifespan that was way shorter than most humans. So, upon having her life extended, Miranda soon fell under the dominance of her alien DNA. But much like Eve, once she was satisfied, her human side regained control. In her alien form, she emits a lion roar-like sound. Unlike the other aliens in the franchise, the spines on her back are more bone-like instead of tentacles. Her alien form looks a lot like Syl and Eve's, but she has a unique skill of spitting bone daggers from her mouth. When her alien form is roused while she is still in her human form, Miranda's eyes change to a glowing hue, her eyebrows disappear, and she has scales instead. But unlike all the prior female leads, Miranda does not have the ability to recover from injuries. This is all the time we had for today's episode. We hope you guys liked it. It would be awesome if you guys can take some time to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tell us which topic you want us to cover in the comment section. Have a fantastic day ahead and stay safe.